A very good afternoon to all. I, Sakshi Sharma, Assistant Professor at Noida Institute of Engineering and Technology, Pharmacy Institute, welcome you all on the second day of AICT sponsored online Atal Academy Faculty Development Program on Design Thinking, a patient-centric approach in health industry. On our third session, we welcome Dr. S. Jayal Abrar Hussain sir. His topic will be design thinking and quality by design two sides of a same coin. Dr. S. Jayal Abrar Hussain is a pharmacy profession with more than a decade of experience in clinical research industry. He has completed in Master in Pharmacy, Pharmacology and Doctor of Physiology, Pharmaceutical Medicine from the top-ranked Pharmacy College of India, Faculty of Pharmacy, Zamia Hamdard, New Delhi. Currently, he is working as a safety writer in the global safety team of Reckitt Benckiser, having headquarters in United Kingdom. His last professional association was with Inventive Health GlaxoSmithKline, where he was working in medical writer department. Previously, he has worked with different Indian CROs, namely Fortis Clinical Research Limited and Clinis Clinical Research Limited in their clinical operation division. A part of PhD project, he has also worked with Renbexi Laboratories Limited. He has a good knowledge of clinical research with main focus on clinical operation and medical writing and publish research paper on clinical research. He is a life member of Indian Pharmacological Society and Indian Pharmacy Graduate Association and regular attendee of various conferences, seminars and workshops. He is also associated with his alma mater in various capacities. We all welcome you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Deepika. A very good afternoon to all of you. I hope, am I audible?
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Yes,
Okay,
sir, yes,
yeah.
sir.
So a very good afternoon to all of you. I hope everybody is doing well and everybody is keeping safe. So thanks for the detailed introduction. And before I start formally with the presentation, I would like to thank Noida Institute of Engineering and Technology for organizing this session, this faculty development program, and making me part of this session. Thanks to the organizing team. So let me share my screen. Please let me know when it is visible.
Yes, sir, it is visible.
OK, great. So design thinking and quality by design. So design thinking is much talked these days, is one of the most discussed things that has come into our discussion, and now healthcare and pharmacy is not is part of this. So and the other thing which is there is quality by design. So if we see by definition or by the methodology, these seems two different things. But are these really two different things, or is it the same thing with different approaches? So during the course of the discussion, I will be having interaction with you on these topics. So just a small declaration. It's like if I start with this picture, if we see this is a coin. So and one side of the coin is a problem and other side is the solution. So in most of the cases, the problem itself has the solution. We have to just flip the coin and we get the solution. So these are two different things, but if we see that at the center of this, there is a single coin. So similarly, these are two different things, two different topics, but at the core of this, there is a same thing is lying there. So I will start with the design thinking, that what is design thinking and how it has started and who was the person who gave this idea about design method or design thinking. So this idea was given by Gregory Essay in his book Design Method, which says that there are two methods of thinking. One is the scientific method and one is the design method. Scientific method is an analytical set of thinking where you do a problem solving by finding out the nature of what is already existing. Whereas in the design side of the thing, you employ certain behavior traits where you invent something. So that's why science is analytic, that you do analysis, but in the designing you are constructing or inventing something. So this is how this idea came into the practice. The design thinking is, you can say, mix of both the things. You have the idea and you have your creative, innovative abilities, and you mix both these things. So bit more about design thinking. So IDEO is one of the leading, or we can say is one of the first global organization who is working in employing this design thinking approach, where they are providing solution for the day-to-day problems in a manner where these solutions have a human-centered approach. That means the core of this, in the core of this lies a human approach to this. And this, as per their understanding, they say that there are three things which, when come together, or when these three things amalgamate with each other or confluence, then develop an innovation which has a design thinking approach. So what are these three traits? These three traits are desirability, feasibility, and viability. So desirability, what do we mean here by desirability? So desirability, that means there is a problem, and I as a user of, or if we talk about our industry, pharma industry, I as a patient have some problem and I desire that these problems should be removed. So first thing is that you have to get those ideas, get those need-based issues, that there are some issues, some areas where the problem is there and we need to remove those problems. So it should be for the people. That means people should be there in the center. It should not be only mechanistic in nature. There should be a human aspect to this. Then you have identified the desire or the need and you want to remove. So you will develop some ideas, but it is not necessary that every idea is feasible to do. It has to be practical in nature, practically doable in nature. So you develop and you brainstorm and you get some ideas, then you check the feasibility of those aspects. Then you have found out an idea or found out a solution which is practically doable and feasible in the given set of resources, be it is a manpower or instruments or finances, and it is doable. With these things you can produce the solution. But whether it is viable or not, because if it is not commercially viable, we will not be able to sustain it. That means, and if you are not able to sustain it for a long duration, that means it's of no use if it is goes out of market from 1 year, after 1 year or 2 years. So that means the solution which you have thought of, it should be viable also. So when these three things come together, then what we develop, that innovation is, you can say that it is a human-centered design, and that's how this company works on the providing solutions. So they are the pioneer in this field. So their principle says that when these three qualities come together, keeping human at the center of their approach, then a solution is created or an innovation is created, which ultimately fulfill the desires or the needs or remove the problem. The other way of looking it as from Stanford University point of view, the Institute of Design, they say that design thinking is actually a 5-step process. It starts from empathy and ends in the testing. And it's a repetitive process. It doesn't mean it's a linear process, it's a non-linear process. You start from step 1, then 2, then 3, then again there is a possibility that you again go back to step 1. So it's a repetitive, reiterative and non-linear process. So it starts with empathy. So at first place, it says that you should have the empathy. That means you should get in the other person's shoes to understand their problems, their needs, their desires, their requirements, that what they actually need, what are the problems they are facing in their life, what are the issues they are dealing with, why they are not able to follow a certain set of practices which are being told to them. So you get into their mindset and you get whether it's by mean of survey or personal interviews or any other online questionnaire, something like that. But you try to think from their perspective. So that means in the starting only you have incorporated a human approach to this, that you are developing, starting your solution from a human approach, human side of the things. You are seeing from a user's point of view, not only from a scientific or mechanistic nature. So when you have developed this empathy and then of course you will get some ideas. So on the base, you will get some insight. So on the basis of those insights, you you define the problem, the needs, the requirements, and what is your understanding. So these things are then defined. And once you have defined the problem areas and the needs, and then you get together as a team. And it is always better to have a multidisciplinary or interdisciplinary team so that you can get different ideas, because for a particular thing I may have a different idea, but for the same thing somebody has a completely different idea. And you should remove assumptions, you should do out of box thinking, and then you brainstorm and develop ideas. And based on these brainstorming sessions, you develop a prototype out of these ideas, and then this prototype is being tested and you get some more insight. You go back and again add some more points to your ideas and prototype, and then you again test. So it's a kind of repetitive process. So this is like how design thinking can be defined, that whatever the problem you have identified, you are trying to solve those problems from the people point of view, not only from a mechanistic point of view or a commercial point of view. Because if you have developed some product based on some feedback about a problem, but it is not ultimately serving the purpose, so after some time it will go out of the market. So this is how this design thinking works, that you are utilizing your knowledge and you are also taking the user's input. You are involving their way of looking at the things, how they want to get the solution for their problems. Then you mix those ideas and develop a product which serves the right purpose and the desired purpose. So now coming to the second thing, that is quality by design. So it is more of a pharma thing. This is kind of ICH recommendations, ICH Q8, Q9 and Q10, where QBDs, you can say detailed or defined, and the recommendations and the guidelines are there. So it was first coined by this concept was first given by the Dr. Joseph M. Juren. It was in 1992, I believe. So it says that quality should be designed into a product. That means it is not that you have developed a product and now you are testing the quality and it has failed and you have lost a lot of resources, time, manpower, etc. Because it says that data or the observation says that the most of the problem with the product arises from the fact that they are not designed properly in the first place. If they would have designed properly, considering the desired outcome, that what is the objective of the product, the failure would not be there. But so that's how it says that quality should be designed into the product. And how will we do it? What are the ways to do it? How this works? So we have gained knowledge after graduating. So we have a scientific knowledge. If we talk about we as a community, so we have a scientific knowledge that there is a problem and this problem can be used by utilizing these set of scientific principles or employing certain techniques. So based on this scientific knowledge, we think of a solution that this solution can be given and how this and in for example, we are thinking of a tablet or a capsule or any other dosage form. So we thought of that we need to develop something, some tablet or capsule. How will it will develop? So here comes the process understanding that we know that what product we have to develop, but we also we should also have the knowledge about how this product will be developed and what are the process steps involved. In which steps this product will be developed, that what are the steps involved in the manufacturing itself, that and then we design this product or based on this product criteria and the process criteria. And finally, we get the right quality or of product with right set of characteristics which were required. And during this phase, we figure out some steps which are very critical. So we identify those factors and we control them. So what we call as process control. So this is kind of a cycle which goes so and the product life cycle is maintained. So that means we start from scientific knowledge about the product, about the process, and we design it and we control the process in a matter that every time it produces the correct product. And it also and during and if any failure occur in between, so it adds to our knowledge that this step is very critical without which we cannot go ahead. So we rectify the problem and then we again run the cycle. So this is how we design the quality in the system itself rather than checking the quality at the end of it. So if we go by the definitions or what ICH and FDA says, that it is a systematic approach of the development that begins with predefined objectives. Like you have some predefined objectives. Suppose I want to develop a tablet A with 1, 2, 3 objective that this tablet A will fulfill these 3 objectives. So that means you have a predefined objectives and then you put emphasis or give emphasis to product and process understanding. So that means you understand the product and the process. That means you know the product characteristic which are very important and also you understand the process, that what are the processes which are very critical for the ultimate delivery of the right set of product. So it is actually, you can say it's a tool which help you plan the development work in a logical. That means you, based on your scientific knowledge, you give some logical steps. You structured in a way And then you ensure that products are developed based on scientific understanding to assure the quality at the end of the process. Because if the quality is not correct, the desired outcome will not be there. If you want to develop a tablet and it is not getting dissolved in a given required time frame, then it is of no use, because the therapeutic outcome will not be achieved. So this is how these are the things that we should be uh, doing while employing this quality by design approach, that we will be uh, developing it in a structured manner, in a logical manner, to get information about the steps which are involved, so that we can remove the problem areas or identify the problem areas and identify the factors which are most critical in the nature and work on them, so that we develop the correct product at the end of the cycle. So that means we are not developing a product with an inferior quality. So now again, if I go back to the first and try to connect it with this my first slide, where the topic was mentioned, that the two aspects or the two sides of the same coin. So we have discussed design thinking, where we have seen that there is a human approach, patient-centric approach to develop a solution which fulfills the need of a patient. And in the quality by design, we have seen that there is a logical and structured manner of developing the product, that you get the right quality at the end. So the failures are minimal. You cannot remove failure 100%, that is for sure, because we are in a scientific field. So failure will always be there. Nothing is 100% foolproof, but we try to minimize as much as possible. So why I thought so that these are the same things, because what we are ultimately achieving, ultimately in both the cases, both the who are seemingly different in their outfit, in their approach, in their methodology, but what we are ultimately achieving, we are ultimately achieving the fulfillment of consumer or patient's need. Suppose if we take example of design thinking, if we have fulfilled if we have developed a certain product which like helps in managing his daily medication in a efficient manner, so that means we are fulfilling a patient need. And similarly, if we take the example of quality by design, if we have developed a product which provide the right amount of drug at the given point of time when it is required, so that means we are also fulfilling the patient need, because it is removing the disease condition. So at the center of this, both these approaches lies the consumer or the patient. So we are ultimately serving the consumer or patient needs, whether by developing a new product or developing a product in a manner that it does not fail and it gives the desired result. So that's how we can say that this is this design thinking and quality by design is a two aspect or two side of a same coin, and the coin here is the, you can say, the drug, the medicine, which we are giving to the patient for their benefit. So now I would like present a case scenario. You can say that we take an example so that we can better understand that how this work. So there is a sorry. The scenario is that there is an elderly patient, and if I'm correct in remembering, around 20% or 18% of world population is elderly, and it will go on rising till 2050. India, like we are a young nation, we can say, but overall the world, if we talk about the whole world, around 20% or 18% population is elderly. So in case of elderly, we have observed or we have seen that they have not a single condition. They have most of the cases do have 2, 3, even more conditions at the same time. They may have diabetes, they may have hyperlipidemia, they may have some cardiac issues, some kidney issues. So there are many disease conditions at the given point of time. So age is, and that means what does it mean in the practical sense? If somebody has one disease condition, he has to follow one prescription or the one therapeutic regime. But if he or she has many diseases at the same point of time, he or she has a very difficult therapeutic regime to follow, because he or she has to take number of medicine, 2, 3, 4, 5, or even more. So what will happen ultimately after some time, because it's a very difficult thing to, and more importantly, most of the disease condition which I have mentioned or which we see in elderly, these are lifelong conditions. For diabetes, you cannot say that I have taken one metformin one day and from tomorrow diabetes is gone. You have to take it for long. Similarly, in case of hypertension or hyperlipidemia or MI or any cardiac ailment. So that means it's a long duration. It's not a 1 month or 15-day or 2 months prescription. So this ultimately may lead to non-compliance, that there is a correct amount of drug is not being taken, either due to too many medicine to take, or in some cases one medicine is finished, so he or she is not very eager to go to pharmacy and then take out fulfill the supply. And then, so what will, at the end, what will happen? At the end, the efficacy of the product will lose. That means the desired therapeutic outcome will not be there. The desired therapeutic outcome will not be there, which is not a desired scenario, because of this condition. We cannot think of a situation where the hypertension is not controlled, because it may create some new problems. So this is a kind of case scenario of an elderly patient who has many disease condition and has a different therapeutic regime to follow. So now we have understood the situation, that there is a situation, and if we try to address this situation from a design thinking approach. So how will we start and what we will do? So first, as mentioned before, that first point was uh, to have the empathy, to show empathy towards the patient. So that means you get in touch of the user by means of survey, interviews, online questionnaire, or their patient records, their pharmacy records. So and you get idea about their problem and what are their needs and what they want to have actually. So you do your research, find out their needs and requirements to understand better. Then once you, and you have to feel from their point of view. If you feel from your point of view, it's you may not get the correct answer or the correct responses, but you have to think from their point of view, that what are their problems, what are the roadblocks, what are the bottlenecks which they are facing, why this non-compliance is happening. Then based on this, you define the problem and the needs, that this is the problem and these are the needs. You define your own understanding of the situation. That means in this case, there are too many pills to pop. Frequency of medication is very high. Difficult to remember that what to take at what time and follow the exact schedule. So these are the practical problems which the patient is facing. So based on that, you define the problem and define the need. Then then comes the ideation phase, where you brainstorm and develop ideas to provide solution. So you come together as a team, you take different opinions, you remove any assumption or preconceived notion that this will go in this manner only or this has to happen. There is no other way out. You have to you need not to think in this manner. You have to think that everything is possible. You have to be free thinker for the this if you are adopting this design thinking approach. You have to remove any assumptions. And then based on this brainstorming session and you develop some ideas, some solutions, and then you develop a prototype. So for example, you can develop some medicine sorter which can sort the medicine in a way that's easy for the patient to take. You develop some smart dispenser. You develop some schedule reminding app which gives a reminder with a picture of a medicine or color of the medicine. You can color code the medicine. You can try different things. PillPack is one of the leading group which is involved in this solution providing only. They what they do, they deliver the medicine based on the therapeutic regime to the patient directly, labeling with the time of the day and the day of the week. So this is how they are helping. So you develop some ideas, some solutions, and then you test them out of the prototype which you have developed based on the previously discussed ideas. You test them, and it is not necessary that the first go you get the right quality of the product or the desired product. You again go back, think more, develop some more ideas, develop, and then test another product. So this is how, and finally you get the right product. So this is how here you can do the design thinking. You can employ the design thinking approach in solving this problem of a non-compliance, which is leading to a loss of efficacy or loss of therapeutic benefit. So this is one approach to this of this problem of resolving this problem. And now coming to the another approach, that quality by design approach. The same situation, and what you can do to remove the problem by adopting this quality by design approach. So that means in this case, we have seen that there are a number of medicine, difficult therapeutic regime. So you aim to develop some drugs which have such qualities which can fulfill the need of a patient so that the compliance is increased. So QBD consists of few elements, like one is the technical goal. So here is our technical goal is development of certain products of certain drug which can remove the non-compliance and increase the compliance so that the therapeutic effect is maintained and the desired goal is achieved. So first you develop decide or define a technical goal, which is also you can call it as a quality target product profile. That what is the target product profile which you want. Then you do a risk assessment. That means you decide critical quality attributes. Everything has a everything has some attributes associated with it. So there, and out of these n number of attributes, so some of the attributes are very critical in nature. That means if you remove or increase or decrease or do some tweaking with those attributes, the desired quality will not be there. So these critical quality attributes can be divided into two parts. One is critical material attribute, which is linked to the product. That means the API or the excipients, for example, binder, colorant, dyes, lubricants, anything, and critical process parameters. So that means these are the attributes or the parameters which are linked to the process. That means the temperature, humidity, compression strength, rotating speed, resolution speed, something like that. So this is something related to parameters. So and both these when come together is called as critical quality attributes. Then you conduct experiment, and based on those experiments you develop some control strategy that we will control. We will develop some range, some specification, some limits, and if we follow these ranges, the product will be of the desired quality. And it's a continual improvement. Once you have developed the product with the desired quality, then you continuously getting the feedback and improving your product, and throughout the life cycle of the product it is being managed. Like in this scenario, if we talk about the quality target product profile QTPP, so it is identification of characteristics that are critical to quality from the patient's perspective. So in this case, what is the like route of administration? It is something which is easy to take and also feasible to make. Dosage form which require less dosing. That means if there is something, there was a medicine which need to be taken thrice in a day, if we can make it from immediate release to modified or extended release, so the frequency will be reduced from TDS to OD. So that means this we are thinking from a patient perspective that he will be happy or she will be happy that he has to take only one tablet in a day rather than 3 tablets in a day. Its strength, that means for immediate release it may be 10 milligram, but say 10 milligram thrice a day, that means 30 milligram. So if you are converting it into OD, it will be a 30 milligram tablet. So that this kind of things you have to take into consideration. Bioavailability, that means the pharmacokinetic characteristics, that is Cmax, Tmax, AUC and all those characteristics. That means it should match the existing one. If immediate release drug is showing a certain pharmacokinetic parameters in a certain range, the modified or immediate release should have the same PK profile. And stability. It is also important that drug should be stable throughout its life, giving the same result which is which when it was manufactured 1 month, and say for example it's a 2-year shelf life. So at the end of 23rd month or 24th month, it should give the same result. So that means it should be stable throughout the shelf life. So this is we are identifying from the patient, identification of the characteristic from the patient point of view. So now we have identified that if in such a scenario, if we can develop a MR or ER formulation for certain medications, everything cannot be converted into every IR medication cannot be converted into MR or ER. It is based on the their certain criterias. So if say for example he is taking medication for 4 or 5 disease condition, and out of there are 4 to 6 medicine he has to take daily, and out of these if he can convert 3 into from IR to MR, so ultimately the number of drugs will be reduced per day. So another thing which we can do, if there is a possibility, we can develop fixed dose combinations. So these are the things which you are thinking from the patient perspective. So if we can combine 2 drugs, so one out of 4, there will be only now 3 drugs because 1 is gone. So this is how we have to think, that this is what we want to develop at the end. So this is our objective. We want to develop a formulation which is which gives reducing the dosing frequency, so, and increasing the patient compliance. And at the same time, we have to see that safety aspect is also taken into consideration, because we cannot say that only efficacy is important. If it is not safe, then it's no point of to use. Then that comes the next step, that we have decided on the quality target product profile, that this is the target product profile which we want to have. Then we translate these characteristics into drug product quality attributes. That means what kind of quality attributes which we want to have in our drugs, that what will be the physical characteristic, chemical, biological, microbiological property of the and characteristic of the drug substance, excipients and the drug product, the API, the excipients, and also the formulation. That means how will we check, say, the percentage weight by weight dissolution profile, weight, uniformity, impurities, residual solvents. There are certain things which we can check, that these are the important attributes which should be there in a given range or in a given limit, then it will be accepted. Then once we have decided on this, then we conduct risk assessment, that we identify the factors which can influence the CQA. CQA is critical quality attributes, and this CQA comes from material attributes or process parameters. That means there are certain material attributes, material as API or excipients, or the drug product, the finished product, or the process parameters, like how you are processing your drug, how the machine characteristic, you can say temperature, humidity, drying speed. There are certain things. When we do the risk assessment, and finally when we combine the material with the process, we get the result. So that's how CQA can be segregated into two parts, which are actually interlinked. It is not happening in silos, but it's actually all is interlinked. So we get the desired quality of the product. And how we do this risk assessment? We develop a cause-effect diagram, or we must have seen this fishbone analysis or Ishikawa diagram, where we break down the particular process. Like suppose we have to make a tablet, we starting from, say, for example, paracetamol, and we finally want to develop a modified release drug product. So this is a starting and this is the end. In between there are certain process. So we divide these process into smaller steps. We break down these and we check at each and every step that what is the impact if we tweak any of the steps in between, like absence, presence, or change of a material attribute. Suppose if we change the assay criteria, or if we change the humidity, or if we change the residual solvent limit, what will happen? Or if we change a process parameter, that means if we increase the temperature or decrease the temperature, what impact it will have on the critical quality attribute of the product. So this is how we break down the full risk assessment into a small step, and each and every step we identify at each and every step that these are the critical point of consideration, where we have to if we do any tweaking, it will lead to the inferior quality or undesired quality of the product. So after doing this risk assessment and identifying the risk areas or the factors which can influence the quality of the product, we do some experimentation, or we call it as a design space. So here we it is not necessary that we are every time we are doing some experiment, but we can we can utilize the existing historical knowledge or mechanistic knowledge of the and predict the performance. That if we suppose if we have the temperature range, say for example 37 degrees centigrade and humidity in 65 range, and we run this process for n number of hours, then we'll get the final desired result. So here we another approach which comes into the play is design of experiment. Let's say when we study the impact or effect of number of factor to optimize the outcome, it's actually, you can say, it's a kind of a statistical tool to find out that what is the significance of factor A, factor B, factor C, factor D. Then we also see that what will happen when we scale up the process. This is our pilot. We start from the pilot stage. We start from a small scale, start from the lab, then we do a small scale development, then we finally go for the commercial development. So we also see that when we scale up the process, what will happen? What are the what impact it will have when we scale up the process, whether it will give the desired result or not. So we translate the operating conditions between different scale or pieces of equipment. Suppose we have not identified any problem when we were developing 100 tablets, for example, per batch. But if you are doing for 50,000 tablets, then it may give either positive or negative. There is a possibility. So we do all these things, and then risk analysis determines significance of effect. So we can combine, we can do any, we can take any of this approach, or we can combine. And based on all the these knowledge which we have gathered so far, we develop a controlled strategy which ensure that a product of a required quality will be produced consistently. It is not that first time we have developed a correct product and now it is in the market. Now we have nothing to do. But we have to develop a control strategy so that when we repeat the process, we get the same result every time. So it can include but not limited to the following: target profile, critical material attributes, critical process parameters, and some experiments, and then risk analysis, fishbone analysis, Ishikawa diagram. So based on this, we have gathered knowledge. So based on all this knowledge, we develop a strategy which we call control strategy. And it what does it? What is the need of developing control strategy? It ensures that every time we develop a product with the right set of quality, and it is a consistent thing. It's not that once we at one go, first go we have developed a correct product, and the second go it has some issues. So that's how we develop control the strategy. And it how we control input material attributes, that the material should have certain qualities, and also we control give employs certain control or certain limits or certain ranges to the our process part of the thing, our operations, and we do in process or real time testing, and also a continuous monitoring program. So based on all this, we develop our control strategy, because we don't want our product to fail if we are developing a second batch or third batch. And finally, as a part of QBD comes the life cycle management. Once you have developed the product and you have delivered it to the market, and you got the right set of quality, and what was desired has been achieved. But it is not finished yet, because you want to maintain that product into the market. So that's then at this point of time comes the life cycle management. So that means you get the feedback, your body, and science is an ever growing field. Body of knowledge is getting expanded day by day. So we get with this expanded body of knowledge, and with this feedback, we do the continual improvement, or we can say we feed forward that whatever we have gained from in the form of feedback or the new knowledge, we do improvement, and then we provide the more improved quality of the product to the market. So if I summarize this and link with the current scenario which was presented initially, that here what we want to do, we want to develop a product there are there are multiple medicines patient has to take, because he has many conditions. So what we want to do, we want to reduce the number of pills. We want to reduce the dosing frequency. So that means the desire is to shift from immediate release to modified release, at least from not from TDS to OD, at least from BD to OD we can go. So we want to develop a modified release product, or if possible, we want to develop a fixed dose combination. So, but if you are developing a modified release product, So we want that it gives the correct loading dose and maintenance dose, and at the same time does not compromise the safety of the product. And if any of these is impacting, that means our product is of not desired quality. If it is giving the correct loading dose, that means once he or she has taken the drug, the immediate effect is correct. But after some time, the maintenance dose is not proper, the effect will wean off and the ultimate therapeutic objective will not meet. And similarly, if the loading dose is too high, the drug is getting dissolved too rapidly or too fast, then there is a possibility of toxicity or the adverse drug reaction, which is also not a desirable thing. So this is how we can, these are the things which we can consider while designing our product or developing our product. So that's how quality by design comes into the picture. So one way of looking was that designing a product which fulfills the need from a patient perspective, and here we are developing a completely new thing, but keeping in mind in the quality aspects from the starting only. So if I try to summarize the thing, so we can say that design thinking is a mindset. It is not a toolkit or a series of steps. That means there is not a certain set of steps. Like if you want to drive a car, we open the door, we put the key in the ignition, we turn it, engine is on, then we push the clutch and then we change the gear, and when then we slowly release the clutch and press down the accelerator and car moves. This is design thinking is not like that. It's actually a mindset that when you see something, when you face some problem, when you hear about some problem, you think in a certain manner that how this problem can be resolved in a more human approach. With more human approach, how this problem can be overcome with a solution which is patient centric in nature. So this is how design thinking is linking to the patient-centric approach of our healthcare industry. And if I talk about the QBD, so it says that quality cannot be tested into the products. That means it has to be built in by design. That means if you have developed product, if you do 100 testing, if you have not developed it correctly, it will not give the correct result. So that means repeated testing does not improve the quality. Rather, you have to build the quality in the product itself from the starting. That means you have to choose the drug material, the excipients, the process in such a manner, and you have to set the ranges, limits, a specification in such a manner that you get the desired result. So that means you have to build the quality in the product. You cannot test it. So this is all from my side. I hope it was understandable, and because post-lunch session are always difficult.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for such a valuable session. And I hope this session will be full of knowledge and it will help the faculty members in future. Now, sir, there are some questions which are asked by some of the faculty members. So, shall I proceed with some of the questions?
Yes, please.
Okay. So, sir, first question was asked by Dr. Rakhi ma'am. How to apply quality by design to NDDs?
Okay. That means NDDs, if I correctly understood, is new drug development, or it is something else.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So like like I mentioned that when you have thought of designing a product, with certain objectives to meet. So suppose it's and you are saying that it's you are here we are talking about a new product. So that means so when you are talking about a new product, so when you are choosing the uh, like out of say there are after filtering down the from the starting from the chemical analysis, and you find out that there are 5 molecules which have the potential to go ahead. So if you are selecting those, so you have to check their specific attributes that suppose if I'm talking about particle size. So, or if you are talking about any modified release criteria, so we have to see that, for example, we have to take into consideration of a half-life of the drug or the biopharmaceutical classification that in which class it falls. So you have to think in a manner that what are the desired outcome which I want to achieve, and what are the therapeutic benefit it will give. So this is how we can select our uh, product, starting product, because in case of new products, it's always we and also what are the processes we are employing to do, because if we talk about big companies, they always do develop prototype, or you can say the starting prototype in different batches in different machines in their different plants, because if you because plant or the process variable or the machine variable is also one of the important criteria which we have to keep in our mind. It is not necessary that if you are getting X result with the certain API and excipient in one plant, you will get the same result in the another plant or the with the another machine. So you have to keep both those things in the mind, and then based on that you can go ahead with the correct batch of the product. Does this answer the question?
Okay, thank you so much, sir. There are some few questions. The next question is from the participant side. Can we use QBD for drug discovery?
Drug discovery. Drug discovery, I think drug discovery, it is like I would not say that it is not possible to use QBD in drug discovery, but it is not very beneficial because if we see that QBD is intended to deliver a right set of product at the end, where you already have some starting material at hand, but in the discovery you need to be more flexible in nature. You have to be a kind of free thinker where you can uh, define certain plus and minus, and then you try different combinations and permutation. So here in case of discovery, it is difficult to employ this concept.
Okay, okay. Thank you so much, sir. Now the next question is from the participant side is, does ICH guidelines include QBD concept?
Yes, ICH 8 Q8 guideline talks about QBD, and it should be read in conjunction with Q9 and Q10.
Okay, okay.
So
Thank you, sir.
Q8 annexure 1, yes, Q8 annexure 1 talks about QBD.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. Next question is, what is the status of QBD design thinking in India? And is there any specific guideline given by ICMR or by PCI or any other government agencies?
So actually, it is not a mandatory thing actually. Still, it is not a mandatory thing to do. It is a desirable thing that you have, because if we follow the QBD approach, uh, the ultimate what we will be achieve, or what is the desired result. first thing is that the failure rate will be less. You will get the desired result in a less number of time, and product recall will be less. You will get the high quality of the product in the market. So it is always good to have good to employ this QBT principle, but I don't think that there is any guideline from ICMR or any other Indian regulatory agency, but ICS does have this.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir, for providing all the answers of these questions. Now I request Dr. Salahuddin, sir, to add few things. Sir.
Am I audible to you all?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Dr. Ziaul Abrar Hussain, that you have accepted our invitation in a very short span of time, and you spent a very precious time with us. And your topic related with the design thinking and the quality by design, the two sides of the same coin. And this topic is a very interesting topic. And I was very eager to listen all the lectures of you. And I joined a little bit late due to some inspection in our department, and that I have listened some of the slides by you, and you explained very nicely about the design thinking and its quality aspects, and the approach related with the formulations related with this topic. And the most important thing is the risk factor involved in the design thinking. So thank you, sir, and thank you for being with us. And I would like to say thanks to the Dr. Abrar that and you spent a very precious time with us. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Salahuddin. Thank you so much for your words. And before we conclude, when I was like preparing for this, I came across few things that now we should think of developing this design thinking in our curriculum, pharmacy curriculum. So we, like you and your team as an educator, should think in that manner also, that how we can employ this design thinking approach in designing our pharmacy curriculum. So
yes,
you as an academician can think on this aspect also, and develop the student in such a manner that when they graduate from our institute, they go into the industry or any other field, they employ that design thinking approach.
yes, sir. Sure, sir. So we will write to the Board of Studies member involved in the Pharmacy Council of India to incorporate this design thinking in the curriculum, or B.Pharm curriculum as well as in the M.Pharm curriculum.
Because the future is very, you can say, as the topic is patient centric. So we are now want to have everything customized as per our needs.
Yes, obviously.
Yeah, so design thinking design thinking will help in that manner also. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much, sir. Now I request Dr. Monica ma'am to add few things and address the audience.
Good afternoon, sir. Thank you so much for your valuable words. My aim of this FDP was, you have covered a lot of things related to the aim with which we have designed this FDP. So the thing which we wanted to cover up, that how design thinking can be used in our pharmacy, and how we can mold our research work towards that patient centricity. So main customized products we can develop, and you cover up very nicely all the things how we can use the design thinking in our field of pharmacy and how we can mold our research towards this patient centricity. So that was a great lecture we have today, and that was totally based on the theme of our FDP. So thanks a lot to address us and as well as to guide us that we must implement this topic in our, and we must add this topic in our curriculum too, so that we can work on it. So thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Thanks a lot for your kind words. I hope that I contributed to the objective of this FDP program.
Yeah, sir, of course, definitely your presentation was too good and was related to the topic. Yeah, thank you so much, sir. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
So I will like now all the participants to please fill the feedback forms before leaving the meeting. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, sir.
Bye.
I request all the participants to please fill up the feedback form. And we will again meet by tomorrow on the third session of FDP. Thank you so much all for joining this FDP session.
Sakshi, one thing more we need to address the participants that tomorrow we will be having only 2 sessions. And then
Okay,
the first session will start at 12 p.m. and second will be at 2:30.
Okay, ma'am.
Right?
Okay, thank you, ma'am.